And we're going to start with practice number 2. Down Under Boomerang is considering investing in a 3-year expansion project that requires an initial fixed asset investment of $2.43 million. The fixed asset will be depreciated straight line to zero over its 3-year tax life. The project is estimated to generate $1.99 million in annual sales with costs of $685,000. The project requires an initial investment in net working capital of $210,000, and the fixed asset will have a market value of $305,000 at the end of the project. Okay, first thing I want to do with a problem like this is figure out how many years. We know this thing has a 3-year life, but how many years will I actually be looking at? Yeah, I'm going to be looking at 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now, the next question is this. We know that year 0 is going to be different because we have our increase in net working capital, we have our net capital spending, and we don't have any operating cash flow. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say we're going to have one column for year 0. And we know that year 3 is going to be different because it's going to have the reduction in net working capital and it's going to have the after-tax salvage value. So we're going to have a separate column for it. But what about years 1 and 2? Are they any different? No, so we're going to save ourselves a lot of time and suffering, and we're just going to say 1 and 2, and then we're going to have a column for year 3. And for each of these, we want to have the operating cash flow, the net capital spending, and the change in net working capital. And if you recall, what we're going to do is say operating cash flow minus the net capital spending minus the change in net working capital. And what's that going to give us?
Cash flow from us.
Oh, very good. I was getting ready to call on you because you were being chatty, but you were ahead of me there, so thank you. Now you know the secret. Okay, so let's start by talking about year 0. Is there ever any operating cash flow in year 0? Nope. Now, what about net capital spending? Remember, net capital spending is a positive number if the money's going out. That's why we're going to have to subtract it. So here we're going to put a positive sign on this. How much is going out then?
2.4.
Yeah, 2.43 million. 2,430,000. Now, what happens to net working capital at time 0? I'll give you a hint. The project requires an initial investment of what?
200.
Yeah, so it's going to go up by 210,000, and once again, that's a positive sign. It's going up, but we're going to subtract that when we get done here. In fact, let's go ahead and figure this out. I think we've got 0 minus 2.43 million minus 0.21 million. I think we have minus $2,640,000. Does that look right? Okay. Now, for years 1 and 2 and 3, we're going to have operating cash flow, but we don't know the operating cash flow yet, so we're going to have to figure it out. So we're looking at the incremental values here. What is the incremental increase in sales as a result of this project?
1,990,000.
1,990,000. That's our sales. What's our incremental cost?
685.
685? Okay. Okay. Now, there's something else that we have to subtract before we can find our pre-tax income. Does anybody know what it is?
Depreciation.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we're going to have to put depreciation in here, but we don't know depreciation yet. They tell us that this thing is 2.43 million, and how is it depreciated?
Straight line.
Straight line to
0.
over the which year life?
3.
3. So what we're really looking for depreciation-wise is 2.43 million divided by 3, which I believe is 810,000. Ms. Volkova, is that correct? Very good. I know I can ask her because she and I are the only ones in the room who can do math in our heads. Most of the time. Yeah, hey, occasionally I screw up too. Feel free to put that in your calculator and then make fun of me if I've got it wrong. Okay, so here we go, 810,000. Now, we're going to, by the way, subtract cost, subtract depreciation to come up with our pre-tax income. So, can anyone give me do this math here, 1,990,000. Let's see if I can do this in my head. 170. Okay, I've got a number in my head, but someone tell me what it is.
495,000.
Very good, I was wrong.
Sorry. Or I was wrong.
Okay, well, could someone confirm her number, please?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, now, what can we calculate now that we know pre-tax income?
After tax.
Okay, but we actually have to figure out, they tell us the tax rate, 24%, right? So can anyone tell me what 24% of this pre-tax income is?
118,800.
Does that sound right? Okay, now we know, do we have to take it any farther than this? What we know that OCF is equal to EBIT minus taxes plus depreciation. Where do I find EBIT up here in all these numbers? Yeah, it's pre-tax income because there's no interest involved here, right? Okay, so it's just earnings before taxes, basically. So what we're going to do is say 495,000 minus the taxes of 118,800, and then we're going to add back our depreciation of 810,000 bucks. Why am I adding back depreciation? That's a non-cash expense, right? That wasn't really cash going out. By the way, I'm going to try putting another zero in there so you can see it. There we go. Okay. So let's see, 505,000, 1.305 million minus that. Can someone tell me what that number is, please?
118,620.
Oh, very good. So that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Where does that go on my chart over here?
Operating cash flow.
Very good. 118,620. 118,620. Can anyone tell me what the net capital spending in years 1 and 2 is? Yeah, it's nothing, right?
That's like a trick question.
No. And what about the change in net working capital? Yeah, 0. Okay. So, now, what do we know? Oh, so we can go ahead and do this. 1,186,200. Now, we know we have changes for both net capital spending and net working capital here at the end. The easy one is net working capital. What's going to happen to net working capital at the end?
Subtracted.
Yeah, it's got to go back to 0. And so basically, it's just the opposite. Right? Okay, now we've got to figure out how much money we're going to get out of this pig when we sell it. And they've told us that it's going to have a market value of $305,000 at the end of the project. Is that the amount of money that we're going to get? No, why not?
The tax.
Yeah, so what we've got to figure out is the after-tax salvage value. After-tax salvage value is equal to market value minus the tax rate times market value minus the book value. Okay, so in this case, the book value is 0, right? And so we're really just looking at market value times 1 minus the tax rate. Can you see that mathematically? Okay, 1 minus the tax rate is 0.76. So we're looking at 305,000 times 0.76. Can someone tell me what that number is?
304,999.
Oh my goodness. So say that one more time.
Let me do the calculation.
So it's going to be about 3/4 of this. So we're looking at something in the 200,000 range.
231.
How much?
231.
231, how much?
800.
800, very good, thank you. try to develop a feel for what numbers should be, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the problem with you guys being trained on calculators. You don't have an instinctive feel for what numbers should be. Okay, 231,800, and by the way, that's negative spending, right? That's money back in. Okay, so for this last cash flow, we're going to take this number minus
From
this
what?
number. Yeah, and this number is a minus, so say it again, Ms. Bowman.
Plus.
Plus this number. So we're just going to basically add those numbers together. How much? I sure hope it's 1.628 million. It is? Okay. Okay, now we have all these numbers. Can anyone tell me where we're going to go on the calculator to find the net present value? CF, hit CF, second, clear work. CF, second, clear work. Did you not bring your calculator today, Mr. Green? Mr. Green, you disappoint me.
I know.
Okay. Okay, so CF, second, clear work. What am I going to put in for CF0?
Negative 2.64.
Yeah, so put in 202.64 million and hit that plus minus button, and then what do you have to hit?
Enter.
Enter, very good. Let's get that done. What are we going to do next, Mr. Green? Even though you don't have it here, I know you know. What do we do next?
Is it the MPV button?
Oh, damn, you're like 6 steps ahead of us. He's living in the future. Okay, how about arrow down?
Oh,
Right, yeah, there you go. Okay, so now your calculator says C01 equals, what do you type in there?
C0. C1.
C1, yeah. So we're going to put 1186200, and then you're going to hit enter. And then, I'm going to give Mr. Green another shot here. What button do we hit next?
0 down.
Yeah, very good, the arrow down. Now your calculator probably says F01. I sure hope it does. Now, here's the question. What do I put in for F01, Mr. Baurechter? 2, why 2?
This is for years 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's for years 1 and 2. So put that in, and then you got to hit enter. And then, Mr. Osawawu, what button do I hit next?
We hit the arrow down.
Yeah, you hit the arrow down. So hit the arrow down, and now your calculator says C02. So what are we going to put in for C02? 1.628 million bucks, and then we're going to hit enter. Now we don't have to do it, but you could hit arrow down here, and F02 would be how much? 1. But it's already in there, so don't worry about doing that. Now, I'm going to get back to, so Mr. Green was living in the future. Hopefully he's caught up to us in the past now. What button do I hit next?
I would say MPV.
Yeah, it's NPV. Very good.
My time's coming.
Hey, he's on fire. Okay, so you want to hit NPV. Now it says I equals, what do we put in for I?
18.
18, because it says the required return is 18%. So go ahead and put 18 in, hit enter, and what do I do now? Arrow down, and then compute. Very good. Arrow down, compute. What do you get? Yeah. Isn't that easy? Okay, so here's the deal. Did you see how much time that took? When you see a problem like this on the exam, what should you do?
Skip it.
Skip it. Come back when you know you've whipped out all the easy ones and you're feeling fresh and smart. Boom. Then you jump on stuff like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, so I will cross these off as we go. Now someone's asked for number 3. By the way, is it okay if I go ahead and erase this? Any objections?
Is this the hardest chapter you think on that?
It depends on the individual. I'll tell you what chapter isn't the hardest one. That's chapter 7.
Yeah. Just what you think.
Okay, here we go. Oh, this is a lovely one. Your firm is contemplating the purchase of a new $575,000 computer-based order entry system. The system will be depreciated straight line to zero over its 5-year life. It will be worth $59,000 at the end of that time. You're going to save $265,000 before taxes per year in order processing costs. You'll be able to reduce your working capital by $74,000. And it's a one-time reduction. You get your tax rate of 21%, and they want to know what is the IRR. Oh man, this is a great one. Okay, so the first thing is, how many years is this project? 5, but how many years are we going to talk about? 6. So we know year 0 is going to be different. Let's see, OCF minus NCS. Minus change in net working capital. Okay, we know year 0 is going to be different because we have no operating cash flow, we have net capital spending, and we have a change in net working capital. And then we know year 5 is going to be different because we're going to have a change in net working capital. We're going to have whatever we can sell this thing for. I don't know if we can, but we know that year 5 is going to be different. But what about years 1 through 4? Yeah, they're all the same. And so there's no reason for you to have 6 columns on your paper. No reason at all. Okay, now, net capital spending. How much are we going to spend? $575,000, is that right? Okay, now, here's where it gets funky. What's going on with the net working capital? Usually when we do projects, at the beginning, net working capital goes up. Right? Well, at the beginning. At the beginning, it usually goes up. In this case, what's going on? It actually goes down, right? This is an order processing system that supposedly, apparently, allows you to reduce your inventory because it's just so great, right? Okay, so what does that mean? It means this change in net working capital is actually minus $74,000 right here instead of plus. Does that make sense? Okay, that's usually what trips people up about this problem. Now, we know there's not a change in net working capital here. There's not a change in net capital spending here. But what about over here on the right-hand side? What has to happen? Yeah, it's got to be 74,000 to the positive, right? Because we know that these things, this whole has to equal 0. Has to. Okay. Now, net capital spending for year 5 here. It does say worth $59,000 at the end. We're going to have to figure out the after-tax salvage value. After-tax salvage value is equal to market value minus taxes times market value minus book value. By the way, what do they say they're depreciating this thing to over its life? 0. So what's book value here? 0. And so once again, we're basically looking at market value times 1 minus t, which is not always going to be the case because you could have a book value at the end like we did with our example in the class, the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so now they tell us the market value is how much? Yeah, 59,000. And what is our tax rate?
21%.
21%. So I think that is 1 minus t is 0.79. Does that sound right? Okay, so what do we have for our after-tax salvage value here?
46,600.
46,600. Is that right?
610.
610. Ooh, very good. $610. Okay. Now, over here, net capital spending, that's actually money coming in, so what should the sign be on it? Negative, because it's negative spending. Negative 46,610. All right. What is the one thing that we have to calculate that we haven't calculated yet? Okay, well, so we're going to do that. But in order to find that, we're going to have to find OCF. Okay, so let's see what this thing is telling us it's going to do. It's telling us that it's going to save us $265,000 a year before taxes. A lot of times people get freaked out because they say, well, wait a minute, where's the revenue? Folks, if I can avoid spending money, that's like revenue, right? If I could avoid paying my mortgage, I could avoid spending $1,589 a month. I know I have a cheap mortgage. I'm so pleased. Okay, so probably less than some of your rent, right? Okay, so, but if I could avoid paying that, then I've got that extra money that I don't have to spend. Okay, so now we're looking at $265,000. And what do they say happens to the cost as a result of this project? Does anything happen to cost? No. Sweet. Okay, so there's nothing we have to subtract out here as far as cost of goods sold or anything like that. What's the other thing I've got to subtract out before I can calculate? Yeah, I got to have depreciation. And so they said this thing costs $575,000. And how many years are we depreciating that over? 5. Is that 115,000 depreciation? Okay, minus 115,000. I believe that's 150,000 in my pre-tax income, pre-tax income, right? Okay, so our tax rate is 21%. Can someone tell me what 21% of 150,000 bucks is?
31,500.
31,500. Very good. Okay, so now I have basically EBIT, I have taxes, and I have depreciation. Can I figure OCF? Yeah, it's just OCF is equal to EBIT, 150,000, minus the taxes of $31,500 plus depreciation of $115,000. Can someone tell me what that is? 433,000? 233,500. Does that look right to everybody else? Okay. So now we've got this number here, 233,500, 233,500. And so now we can start doing some math here. So this is 0 minus this plus this. So I think this is minus $501,000. Does that look right? Okay, now this one's really easy. On this one, we have 233,500 minus 46,610. So what is that? 279? No, 280, 110?
Yeah.
280, 110, and then minus 74. So was it 206, 110?
Yeah.
It's too real. You can't deny me, right? I do this in my head. Yeah, as soon as I brag like that, you know what's going to happen?
You're gonna.
I'm going to screw it up. Yeah, okay.
Hubris.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Okay, now, what are we going to do next? Say again?
Put it in the calculator.
Yeah, put it in the calculator. Where am I going to stick it? Just anywhere? CF! CF second, clear work. What is CF 0?
Negative 501.
Yeah, negative 501,000, and then we've got to hit the enter button. And we've got to hit the enter button. Ms. Avila, what do we hit next?
We've got a frequency.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't bring your calculator either. Oh! She was hiding it and just looking all innocent. Okay, so back to the story. So we're going to go down, and now C01, what are we going to put in for it? Mr. Green, what are we going to put in for C01?
1.
C01.
3, 4, 3, 4.
C01.
233, 500.
Very good. 233,500.
Pressure's real.
Yeah. Hit enter. I'm going to give you a chance at redemption. What button do we hit next?
Arrow down.
Very good. Now, F01, what do we put in?
4.
Yeah, we put in 4 because it's years 1, 2, 3, 4. It happens 4 times in a row, right? Now, after you put in 4, you're going to hit the enter button. And then, Ms. Ware, what do we hit next?
Arrow down.
Very good, arrow down. And what do we put in for C02.
206,000.
Very good, 206,110, hit enter. Now, in order to calculate the IRR, what button do I hit, Mr. Osawagwu? Oh, very good. Hit IRR, and then what button do you have to hit after that, Ms. Volkova? Yeah, compute. Not all my questions to you are going to be hard, right? Okay, so hit compute, and what do you get? 36.26%. So, what was the big trick here? This was the big trick. Net working capital went down at the beginning and up at the end. That's the big trick about this problem. Questions? The other thing is sometimes people freak out thinking that reducing costs is not really revenue, but it is. You can treat it like revenue.
Is there just one problem on the test, like 2 and 3?
There will be at most one problem on the test. Well, you can still get an A even if you don't do all. So, and here's how I could prove it to you. How many chapters are on the exam? 5. And so that means how many questions from each chapter? How many questions are on the exam? 40. Divide by 5 gives you 8. How many of those are going to be quantitative? 4. Out of the 4 questions from chapter 8, how many of them do you think are going to be really complex like this? Maybe 2? Maybe. But what if they were all?
That's like 50%.
Well, no.
That's a lot.
Out of 40. 2 out of 40 is 5%, folks. Y'all are freaking out over nothing.
You can do a hard one on chapter 7.
Oh, okay. Well, if we get to that, we will. Okay, questions? Okay. Now, let's see here. So we've done that one. And now someone says question 22. Bam. The initial cost of the machine is $727,000 with an annual operating cost of $39,600. Each machine has a life of 5 years before it is replaced. What the hell? Ignore taxes. Okay. What's the equivalent annual cost of this machine if the required return is 16%? So let's look at what our cash flows look like here. Year 0. By the way, equivalent annual costs. So money going out is going to be positive or negative? Positive. Okay, so what are we spending at time 0? 727,000. And then, how long is the life of the machine? 5 years. Does it say anything about a salvage value? No. So we're going to assume this thing dies worthless. Okay, so that means that years 1 through 5 are all the same. And annual operating costs are $39,600. Now, you may see a problem on the exam that says the operating cash flow is negative something, right? That's exactly the same thing as saying the costs are that. So don't freak out. Okay, now we're trying to find the equivalent annual cost. What button should I hit on my calculator first? Ms. Minutes.
Second,
Oh, you are stepping ahead just like Mr. Green did. CF, second, clear work. CF, second, clear work. What do we put in for CF0? 727,000. Do we make it negative? No. Okay.
Can you just explain why real quick?
Yeah, because it's a cost. This is a cost, this is a cost. Therefore, they're both the same sum.
Not necessarily an investment.
Well, it is. It's an investment, but we're looking at nothing but cost here. We're not looking at revenues.
Well,
Right.
I'm sorry, we could just make everything negative. anytime
You
we
could,
Yeah.
but here's why I don't do that. A, I'm lazy, and B, I make mistakes.
Sure.
Right? So if you're not lazy and you don't make mistakes, feel free. Mr. Sadai is probably the only person in here that is not lazy and doesn't
We're
mean.
just trying to think it easy, to just,
Yeah.
that's what it is, that's why we
Yep.
gotta hit the button.
You could do that. You could certainly do that. Okay, now, arrow down. What do we put in for C01? Ms. Bergner.
39,600.
Very good. 39,600. Hit enter. Arrow down. Ms. Caviani, what are we going to use for F01?
5.
5. Why?
Because there's, it's a 5 year.
Yeah, we got 5 years in the same cash flow, right? 5. Enter. Now it's asking us for, we're trying to get to equivalent annual cost. What button do I have to hit next? Very good, NPV. Hit NPV. And now, what are we going to put in for I?
16.
16. Enter. What button do I hit next, Mr. Taylor?
No, I'm stuck on that one.
You're stuck on that one. So you've hit the NPV
Yeah.
button, and you put in the
16.
interest rate. Try hitting your down arrow and see what it says.
MPV.
Very good. Okay, now, it's sitting there probably saying 0 or something, right? Do you think that's correct?
No.
No. There's little bitty words up at the top of the screen. What do they say?
Compute.
Compute. It's telling you what to do. Hit the compute. What do you get?
I got 856, 662.
Okay, very good. Here's what I want you to do. Store 1, just in case everything goes horribly, horribly wrong. Store 1. Okay. Now, I want you to hit second clear TVM. This is where Ms. Menace was moments ago. Second clear TVM, and then we're going to hit clear once. What does your screen say now?
Clear, just like clear work.
Yeah, just down at the bottom. Oh no. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to hit recall 1. See, that's why we stored it. Recall 1. And then, by the way, I could go ahead and make this negative, right? So negative, and then what button should I hit next? Yeah, present values. Hit PV. And now, what am I going to put in for N? 5, because that's the length of this project, 5 years. What do I put in for I over Y? 16. And then, how do I compute the equivalent annual cost? Yeah, compute payment. What do you get? 261, 632, 62, right? Boom. There we go.
I think I missed a step. So, what do you put in all the keys?
Okay,
five
so
for N.
we put in the present 856,662.03 negative as present value. And then what do we put in for N?
5.
5. What do we put in for I over Y? 16. Those are the only 3 things you need to put in there. And then what are we going to compute?
N.
Yeah, compute the payment. Did you get it?
I got 334.
Oh, dude. Okay. Clear second, or your second clear TVM.
Yeah, no, I did that.
Okay. Now hit recall 1. What does your calculator say?
800 or 856,000.
Okay, so go ahead and hit the negative button,
Mhm.
and then hit PV.
Okay.
Now what do you put in for N?
It's 261. I got it.
You got it this time? Okay. Other questions? Okay,